Every night the Milky Way stretches across the sky like a silver river, wide, slow and ancient. It looks still, yet it flows. Every glimmer you see is a sun, perhaps with its own quiet worlds, each carrying its own silent story. And tonight, as you lie back and breathe, that story becomes part of yours. Welcome to AstraFlow. Here, science drifts like starlight, and curiosity becomes calm. Tonight, let your thoughts slow down, your breathing find its rhythm, and your mind float through wonder. Before we begin, I'd love to know where you're listening from. Are you lying in bed under city lights, or watching the stars from somewhere quiet? Tell me in the comments. It's always peaceful to imagine the AstraFlow community scattered across the world, drifting together through the same sky. And if this calm journey brings you peace, you can gently support AstraFlow by liking this video or subscribing. It helps this little corner of the cosmos keep glowing. Now, let's begin tonight's voyage into the quiet story of our home among the stars. 99 Facts about the Milky Way galaxy. Breathe slowly. Imagine the night above you deepening, the air still, the faint trace of light arching overhead. You're not beneath the Milky Way. You're inside it, a small life floating within a vast spiral of suns, each one a candle burning in the dark, each one a heartbeat in time. Together they form the galaxy we call home, a place both infinite and intimate, a place where everything that ever lived, every atom that has ever thought, dreamed, or loved, began its journey. The stars hum their quiet songs. The space between them is not empty, but full of motion, drifting dust, rippling light, the unseen tide of gravity. If you listen closely, you can almost feel that flow, like a pulse, slow and patient, circling the heart of the galaxy. So tonight, as we drift through 99 gentle facts, let go of the need to remember them all. Let them wash over you like ripples of light across a still lake. Some will fade, some will linger, but all will leave a calm impression of awe. You're floating now, weightless and awake within the Milky Way's luminous body. Our voyage begins not in space but in stillness, a quiet awareness that we're already part of something unimaginably vast. Sleep is a kind of orbit too, every breath a revolution around peace, every thought a small star slowly dimming. Let's drift deeper, into the heart of this galactic dream. What does it mean to live inside a galaxy? We speak of the Milky Way as something we look at, a glowing path above, yet we're within it, unable to ever step outside and see it whole. It's like living inside a cathedral made of light, where every wall is a distant star, and every beam of brightness is a story older than time. When you gaze upward and see that faint band of silver crossing the sky, you're not looking at the Milky Way. You're looking through it, through thousands of light years of stars, dust and space. Each point of light has travelled across eons to find your eyes tonight. You are, in this very moment, part of a vast conversation between past and present, between light and the tiny window of your own sight. Sometimes, lying under that soft glow, you might feel small, a passing moment in the cosmic tide. But smallness can be comforting. It's a reminder that everything heavy in your mind, every worry, every restless thought, belongs to a much larger rhythm, a rhythm where time moves slowly and existence unfolds without hurry. Imagine drifting backward through the stars. Each breath draws you deeper into that slow-turning spiral, into the heart of our galactic home. The Earth falls away, and yet there is no falling, only flow. Every orbit, every beam of light, every atom moves with you in a quiet choreography that has lasted billions of years. To live inside a galaxy is to be woven into something so immense, it can only be felt in stillness. You are not separate from the Milky Way. You're one of its stories. Every breath you take once belonged to a star that lived, burned, and faded long ago. Your body glows faintly with the dust of that memory. So, tonight, as your eyes grow heavier and your thoughts begin to slow, hold this question gently, like a small flame in the dark. If we are made from the galaxy itself, then when we fall asleep, does the Milky Way dream through us? Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the Milky Way not as a streak of light, but as an immense, spiraling sea. Its arms reach outward like waves frozen in slow motion, a grand spiral that turns once every 230 million years. In that time, continents drift, species rise and vanish, mountains form and erode. Yet the galaxy continues its patient rotation, never rushing, never pausing. At its centre lies a dense, glowing heart, a bar of stars stretching across a luminous core, where gravity gathers light and holds it steady. From this bright hub, vast arms unfurl: Perseus, Sagittarius, Centaurus, Carina, and between them, quiet corridors of darkness where dust hides the light like fog on an ancient shore. If you could see the Milky Way from far away, it would look like a flower of light blooming in the black ocean of space. Hundreds of billions of stars drifting in harmony, their orbits entwined in a balance so delicate it feels like music. And somewhere, near the edge of one modest arm, the Orion Cygnus spur, our sun makes its gentle way, a small lantern gliding through the spiral mist. The shape of our galaxy is not static. It bends and ripples, slightly warped by invisible tides of gravity from beyond. Like a floating ribbon, it curves, its motion a reminder that even the largest things in the universe are still soft, still fluid, still flowing. The Milky Way breathes through time, inhaling gas and dust to birth new stars, exhaling them again when they die. Every point of light you see is part of that endless respiration. And in its form, there is a quiet metaphor. The galaxy's arms spiral outward the same way water circles a drain, the same way a hurricane swirls, the same way a seashell curls around its centre. From atoms to storms to galaxies, the same pattern echoes. Everything flows, turning around a calm centre. So when you feel the world spinning too quickly, remember this. The galaxy itself spins slowly, gently, in perfect rhythm. You're not lost in its motion, you are its motion. You're part of the curve, part of the symmetry, part of the flow. The Milky Way is not only where we live, it is how we live, spiralling outward, reaching for light yet always returning to centre. It is our home, shaped not of walls or boundaries but of endless breathing light. If you could drift beyond the veil of stars and look back at our galaxy from afar, you would see something almost alive. A glowing spiral turning in silence, its arms unfurling like soft ribbons of light. This is the Milky Way's true form, a barred spiral, about 100,000 light-years across, its shape held together by gravity, its rhythm guided by time itself. At its very centre, hidden behind veils of cosmic dust, lies its beating heart, a luminous bar of ancient stars and a supermassive black hole known as Sagittarius A. Around that unseen anchor, billions of suns revolve in patient circles, each orbiting at its own pace, never colliding, never hurrying, like dancers who know the steps by memory. Imagine it as a slow waltz that began billions of years ago and has never stopped. Every turn of that spiral is a measure in a song too vast for us to hear. The melody is made not of sound, but of motion, the soft pull of gravity, the whisper of starlight, the silence between rotations. The heart of the Milky Way does not beat quickly. It pulses once every few 100 million years. And yet, that rhythm shapes everything, from the birth of new stars in its arms to the quiet drift of our own sun along its endless path. Our entire solar system circles that heart at about 220 kilometers per second, fast enough to cross the galaxy in a cosmic year, a single rotation that takes longer than the age of mammals on Earth. In all of human history, we've travelled only a fraction of a single arc. We are still at the beginning of the dance. The spiral arms we see, the Perseus, the Sagittarius, the Scutum Centaurus, are not fixed trails of stars, but waves of density moving through the galaxy, gathering gas, forming stars, and letting them drift away again. They are like ripples spreading through water, always moving, always flowing. And within those arms, somewhere between the bright and the dark, our sun drifts in a calm lane known as the Orion Spur. It's a quiet neighbourhood, far from the crowded centre. Peaceful, serene, just right for life to grow. To think that all of this, the spiral, the heart, the endless orbits, exists in a perfect, silent balance. No command, no control, only gravity, patience, and time. The Milky Way does not need to be hurried or fixed. It simply is. And as you breathe, as your chest rises and falls, perhaps you can feel the echo of that same rhythm within yourself. The slow, steady pulse of something ancient and vast. A reminder that you, too, are part of the spiral, and that even the universe has a heartbeat. At the heart of the Milky Way lies a secret, a place where gravity grows so strong that even light bends to its will. Hidden beyond clouds of dust and time, at the centre of our galaxy, rests Sagittarius A, the quiet giant that keeps everything together. It is not a monster. It is not chaos. It is stillness itself, an invisible anchor around which billions of stars slowly revolve. 4 million times more massive than our Sun, yet only the size of a tiny orbit in space, it sits there, calm and patient, shaping the galaxy without ever revealing its face. If we could see it, we would not see darkness. We would see motion, gas and dust swirling in luminous spirals, heating, glowing, fading, before finally crossing the horizon of no return, where time folds and light forgets where it came from. Around that heart, stars move like sparks around a flame. They race at thousands of kilometers per second, their paths curved by a gravity we cannot feel but know is there, the silent sculptor of the Milky Way's form. Yet despite all this motion, the centre remains in quiet equilibrium. It hums in radio waves that ripple through the void, a deep, ancient tone, the slow voice of the galaxy itself. Astronomers listen to that hum and translate it into understanding, learning how our home breathes, how it holds itself together in the dark. It's strange to think that something invisible can define everything. We owe our sun's orbit, our planet's path, our very sense of cosmic direction to a point of gravity we will never see with our own eyes. And yet, without it, the stars would scatter, the arms would lose their shape, the Milky Way would drift apart into emptiness. So, the next time you look up at the soft shimmer of the night sky, remember that deep beneath all that beauty, there is a single, quiet force, a cosmic heartbeat, steady and invisible, keeping every orbit in time. We often seek light to find comfort, but here, the centre of everything is made of shadow, and maybe that's a lesson written in the stars, that not all darkness is absence, and not all stillness is silence. Some darkness holds the light in place, so breathe. Let the thought of that centre, silent, patient, eternal, hold you the same way it holds the galaxy. No need to resist, no need to move, just drift, slowly, around your own quiet heart. Every star you see is a memory, burning, a record of something that happened long ago, the collapse of a cloud, the birth of light, the persistence of heat across unimaginable time. When we look at the night sky, we are not seeing the present. We are seeing the past shining. The nearest stars speak from years ago, others from centuries. And those at the far edge of the Milky Way, they speak from tens of thousands of years in the past. their light only now arriving, as if whispered across the ages. You are lying beneath a sky made of messages, each one a story still travelling. A star begins in silence, a cloud of hydrogen folds upon itself, pulled inward by gravity until pressure and warmth ignite the first spark of fusion. And when that moment happens, when the first photons escape, a star is born and the galaxy grows a little brighter. Inside each of those glowing hearts, something miraculous occurs. Hydrogen becomes helium. Helium becomes carbon, oxygen, iron. The ingredients for oceans, lungs, and life itself. Every heartbeat in your chest, every breath you take, is made of matter once lit inside a star that died before the Earth even existed. So when you look up, you're not just watching the sky, you're looking into your own ancestry. The Milky Way is your lineage, written not in blood, but in starlight. Over time, stars live, expand, and fade. Some die quietly, their outer layers drifting off like the breath of an old song. Others explode, scattering their elements through space, a bright farewell that becomes the seed for new worlds. Each supernova paints the galaxy with fresh materials, and from those ashes, new stars are born. The cycle never ends, it only changes form. Creation and destruction, perfectly balanced. It is a rhythm too slow for us to hear, but if you listen carefully you can sense it in your pulse. The Milky Way, then, is not just a collection of stars, it is a memory field, a living archive of everything that has ever burned, cooled, or dreamed. And as you lie beneath that cosmic memory, your own thoughts drift like faint echoes in the same current of time. You are part of that memory now, a brief flare of awareness in the long flow of light. One day, long after you're gone, the atoms that make you will scatter too, perhaps to help a new star ignite, to light another night in the far future. Nothing is ever lost. Everything becomes something else. Stars fade, but their memory glows in us. And that too is a kind of immortality, quiet, patient, shining. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast cosmic ocean, flat, glowing, and filled with a slow-moving tide of stars. That is the galactic disk, the broad, thin plain where nearly everything in our Milky Way drifts. Stars, planets, gas, dust, and dreams. If you could look at our galaxy from the side, you'd see how delicate it truly is. A ribbon of light no thicker than 1% of its width, like a thin breath of silver stretched across the darkness. Most of the galaxy's stars live here, inside this shining band. It's where our sun travels, looping calmly along its orbit through gentle clouds of starlight and mist. In the disk, gravity and chaos reach a kind of balance, not stillness, but steady motion, like ripples that never end. Everywhere in this plane, new stars are born, old ones fade, and dust drifts like pollen on an invisible wind. It is here that the Milky Way feels alive, breathing, rotating, renewing itself with every turn. If you could float above it, you would see lanes of dark dust cutting through the light, tracing delicate patterns like rivers through land. Those dark regions are not empty. They are full of potential, cradles of creation, waiting quietly for pressure, heat, and time to begin again. The disk itself moves faster than your mind can easily imagine. Each star orbits the galactic center in a vast circle, a journey that takes hundreds of millions of years. Yet within that immense scale, everything flows in harmony, like a galaxy-sized heartbeat, pulsing without end. Even the spaces between stars are not truly empty. They hold whispers, radio waves from pulsars, soft X-rays from supernova remnants, and faint traces of magnetic fields stretching for light years across the dark. It's the Milky Way's background hum, a faint reminder that silence in space is never absolute. Our sun, somewhere between the crowded centre and the lonely outer edge, drifts through this disk like a leaf in a calm current. We are not special, yet somehow that ordinariness is beautiful. It means that the same physics, the same flow of light and gravity that shapes the grand spiral also cradles the warmth of our sky, the gentle circle of the moon, the rhythm of our seasons. To live in the galactic disk is to live within motion itself, to be carried by a river so wide that we cannot sense its turn. But perhaps we don't need to. Perhaps it is enough to know that we move in quiet harmony with it, that our lives, our planet, our heartbeat, all belong to the same great current of starlight. So breathe, and imagine it now, a glowing ribbon stretching through infinity, and you, a small point of awareness, floating peacefully inside that silver tide. Beyond the glowing disk where most stars live, there exists a quieter world, a faint spherical veil of ancient light surrounding the Milky Way. This is the galactic halo, the soft breath that extends above and below the disk, wrapping our galaxy in an invisible cocoon of memory. From Earth, we cannot see it directly. It is too dim, too diffuse, like mist illuminated only by time. Yet it's there, stretching for hundreds of thousands of light years, filled with relics from the early universe, old stars, globular clusters, and the mysterious presence of dark matter. The halo is not uniform. It is scattered and ancient, a place where the first stars of the Milky Way still wander, each one a survivor from an age before the galaxy found its shape. Their light is faint and red, their motion slow and graceful, as if they are drifting through the afterglow of creation itself. Encircling them are globular clusters, spherical gatherings of hundreds of thousands of stars, bound tightly together like luminous pearls frozen in space. These clusters orbit the Milky Way's centre in long tilted paths, some moving far above the disk, others passing beneath it, each one a small galaxy's ghost folded into our own. And then, surrounding all of this, there is something even more elusive, a vast ocean of dark matter, unseen but essential. It doesn't emit or absorb light, but its gravity gives the Milky Way its shape, holding the stars in place like invisible hands. Without it, our galaxy would unravel, its delicate spiral lost to the deep night. The halo is the Milky Way's memory and its mystery, its oldest stars whispering of the universe's youth, its dark matter shaping the flow of all things, unseen yet undeniable. It is both cradle and boundary, the faint outline of our galactic soul. If the galactic disk is where life and motion bloom, then the halo is where silence lives, a quiet frontier where time itself slows down, and light drifts like a long exhale. Imagine floating there, above the spiral arms, looking down at the glowing plain of the Milky Way. Below you, the galaxy curves softly, luminous and immense, and beyond it, nothing but dark infinity. You feel small, but not lonely. For even here, at the edge of our home, gravity still reaches for you, light still travels toward you, and the quiet still holds you. There is peace in knowing that even emptiness belongs to the same flow. The halo is proof that the galaxy, like life, is held together by both what we can see and what we cannot. So breathe deeply and imagine that invisible glow all around you. You're inside the halo, and the halo is inside you. If the Milky Way were a vast city of stars, our sun would live in a quiet suburb, peaceful, steady, and just far enough from the noise of the centre to dream. Astronomers call this region the Orion Arm, or more precisely, the Orion Cygnus Spur, a gentle side street between two grand avenues of light, the Sagittarius Arm and the Perseus Arm. Here, in this tranquil corner of the galaxy, our solar system drifts through the starlit current, turning slowly around the galactic core, completing one long orbit every 230 million years. In all of human history, we have not even travelled one full degree of that circle. Every civilization that has ever existed, every story ever told, all have unfolded during a single blink of the sun's galactic journey. Our neighbourhood is modest but not empty. Around us drift thousands of nearby stars, each one a potential sun, each with its own family of planets, moons and mysteries. The nearest of them, Proxima Centauri, lies just over 4 light-years away. Its light began its journey toward us around the time the Great War ended on Earth. That's how close is in the scale of the galaxy. If you could sail outward from our solar system, you'd first cross the Oort cloud, a frozen halo of ancient ice and rock, where comets sleep for millions of years, waiting for the faint pull of gravity to wake them and send them inward in shining arcs. Beyond that lies interstellar space, thin, cold, and vast, filled with traces of gas and dust that connect the stars like invisible threads. Our sun's light touches this dust, warming it slightly, and as our solar system moves, it leaves a faint wake, a glowing trail like ripples on water. We are literally sailing through the galaxy, our planet moving within a bubble of magnetic energy, our every breath carried quietly through that ocean of light. Scientists sometimes call our region the local bubble, a cavity in the interstellar medium, likely carved long ago by ancient supernovas. It's a peaceful space, a place where radiation is low, where the sky shines clear, a safe harbour in the stormy weather of the cosmos. It is here, in this still zone of the spiral arm, that Earth found its chance to form, that oceans gathered and consciousness slowly awoke. When you think of home, you might imagine the world beneath your feet, the scent of rain, the sound of wind, the warmth of your bed. But in truth, home extends farther than that. It stretches outward through the solar system, across the spiral arm, and into the slow, glowing rhythm of the Milky Way. Our sun is just one of billions, but for us, it is the centre of everything, a tiny lantern lighting our corner of the cosmic sea. And as we drift around the galactic heart together, we are not lost in its vastness. We are carried by it, part of its gentle current, a quiet flame within a greater fire. So tonight, as you breathe, remember that you are not standing still. Even in rest, even in sleep, you are moving, calmly, endlessly, through the starlit neighbourhood of your galaxy. Our sun is always moving, not racing, not rushing, but gliding in silence through the dark sea of stars. It follows an invisible path, orbiting the Milky Way's centre in a circle so vast that even imagination struggles to complete it. One full revolution, one galactic year, takes about 230 million Earth years. That means when the Sun last returned to this same point in its orbit, the Earth was still young. The first dinosaurs had not yet walked, and mammals were only whispers in the story of time. Every orbit the Sun completes marks the turning of a cosmic clock. Slow, steady and indifferent to the brief sparks of our lives. As the Sun moves, it carries us all. Planets, moons, oceans, clouds, and every heartbeat on Earth, around the galactic core, like tiny passengers on a luminous ship. We are travelling together at a speed of over 220 kilometres per second, yet we feel nothing of it. The ride is too smooth, the distance is too immense. To us it feels like stillness, but it is motion of the grandest kind. If you could trace the Sun's journey through space, you'd see a graceful curve, a spiral within a spiral, rising and falling gently through the galactic plane as it travels. Like a bead moving along a cosmic string, our solar system drifts up and down through the thin disk every few million years, crossing lanes of dust, gas, and memory. With each crossing, our night sky subtly changes. The constellations we know today are temporary alignments, brief patterns in a moving ocean of light. Given enough time, Orion will dissolve, the Big Dipper will lose its handle, and entirely new constellations will take their place. The sky, like the Earth, is alive with change. Around us, stars near and far share the same dance. Some move ahead, some lag behind, but all are bound by the same unseen gravity, the gentle pull of Sagittarius A Sol at the galaxy's heart. It is not chaos, it is coordination on a scale too vast to perceive. There is something soothing about that thought, even as the world feels uncertain. Even as centuries pass and empires fall, our orbit continues, unbroken and serene. The sun never stops, it only flows, and we, carried within its warmth, flow with it, through dust, through time, through silence. You are, at this moment, travelling around the centre of the Milky Way, not metaphorically, but truly. Your body, your breath, your thoughts, all part of a motion that began before humanity had names for the stars. If you listen carefully, you might sense it, a subtle rhythm, a deep current beneath everything that lives and breathes. It is the turning of the galaxy, a slow cosmic inhale and exhale, and you are part of that breath. You have always been, so rest easy in that knowing. You're not standing still, you are moving gently through eternity, riding the quiet current that circles the heart of our home. Even now, while you rest and breathe, the galaxy is creating light. In hidden clouds of gas and dust deep within the spiral arms, new stars are quietly being born, their first photons still wrapped in the soft fog of their beginnings. These stellar nurseries are called nebulae, vast, luminous clouds where gravity gathers matter until it glows. Inside them the dust swirls and thickens, pressing inward, heating, until hydrogen atoms begin to fuse, and a new sun opens its eyes for the first time. If you could drift there, you'd see colours like dreams, roses and violets, golds and greens, hues not painted, but breathed by energy. The Orion Nebula, just visible from Earth as a faint patch below Orion's belt, is one such place, a cradle of stars only a few million years old. In cosmic time, that's infancy, the first heartbeat of a lifetime that may last billions of years. Around each newborn star, disks of dust begin to spin, and within those disks grains collide, cling and grow, forming pebbles, rocks, planets. Some will remain barren, others perhaps will bloom oceans and sky. Somewhere, in another arm of the galaxy, there may already be worlds turning toward their first dawn. The light from those newborn suns will take hundreds, sometimes thousands of years to reach us, but when it does, it joins the Milky Way's quiet river of brightness. Each beam adds a shimmer to the galactic sea, a whisper of renewal in the endless night. Star birth is slow. It does not rush. It waits for density, for temperature, for silence. Like sleep, it happens only when all the conditions align, when chaos gives way to calm, and something new is ready to begin. Sometimes, as you drift between wakefulness and dream, you might feel that same process within yourself, thoughts condensing, moments of darkness gathering around a point of light, a quiet realization beginning to glow. That's how the galaxy works. It transforms stillness into creation, gravity into grace. Our Milky Way has been doing this for more than 13 billion years. Long before our sun existed, before the Earth was even dust, the galaxy was already giving birth to light, and long after we're gone, it will continue, patiently, endlessly, turning darkness into stars. So tonight, let that thought cradle you. Somewhere, far beyond our sight, a new sun is igniting for the first time, and its light, though it may take 1,000 years to arrive, has already begun its journey toward you. Not everything that glows in the Milky Way is made of fire. Much of its quiet beauty comes from something far humbler, dust, tiny particles smaller than grains of smoke, drifting for millions of years through space, binding starlight, sculpting colour, softening the shine of suns. Cosmic dust is the painter of the galaxy. It turns light into texture, motion into mist. When we look up at the night sky and see dark lanes cutting through the Milky Way's glow, we are seeing the fingerprints of dust, the gentle hand that hides and reveals at once. Each speck began long ago, forged in the dying breath of ancient stars. When a sun reaches the end of its life, it exhales, casting carbon, silicon, and metal atoms into space. Those atoms cool, combine, and form grains that float like pollen through the interstellar wind. They wander for eons, joining clouds of hydrogen, collecting, colliding, becoming the soil from which new stars and planets are born. So dust is not just debris, it's memory, the residue of creation, the seed of what will come next. Every world, every ocean, every living thing was once part of that slow-moving haze. If you could drift through it, you wouldn't see dull grey, but soft light, glowing faintly with the colour of starlight scattered a million times. Dust takes light and bends it, filters it into warmth, turns harsh brilliance into the golden calm of dawn. Without dust, the Milky Way would be harsh and clear, a blaze without atmosphere. But dust adds tenderness, a veil that turns astronomy into poetry. Even here on Earth, dust never truly leaves us. The particles that fall on your windowsill, that shimmer in a sunbeam across your room, some of them are older than the planet itself. Bits of meteor, traces of exploded stars drifting quietly down through the air, as if the galaxy is always leaving us a message. Remember where you came from. When you breathe, you may be inhaling atoms that once drifted through another world's sky. When you look at the stars, you are looking through a layer of your own cosmic ancestry. And so, the Milky Way's dust is not a barrier, it's a bridge between the past and the present, between the vast and the intimate, between starlight and the small human eyes that watch it. If you close those eyes now, and let the image of that drifting haze fill your mind, you might feel what the galaxy feels. Not emptiness, but flow. Not death, but transformation. Because even dust, quiet, weightless, forgotten, is part of the Milky Way's breath. And in that breath, you're already home. Between the stars, where darkness seems complete, there is still motion. An invisible tide of hydrogen, oxygen, and faint carbon drifts through the Milky Way like breath through sleep. These are the interstellar gas clouds, the galaxy's quietest inhabitants, so faint that most of their light comes not from stars, but from the soft hum of their atoms vibrating in radio frequencies. If you could listen with the right kind of ear, a great dish stretched toward the heavens, you would hear a gentle, endless murmur at 21 centimetres, the spectral whisper of neutral hydrogen, the most common element in the cosmos. That single tone hums across all directions, a background voice of the Milky Way that never stops speaking. Through those clouds, the galaxy breathes. Gravity slowly gathers them together, compressing them until they glow, until fusion begins and light returns. Then, when stars grow old and die, their explosions scatter fresh gas again into space. And the cycle starts anew. The galaxy's rhythm, then, is not heartbeat or pulse, but breath. Inhalation and exhalation, condensation and release. Every phase feeding the next, like tides that rise and fall, forever patient, forever sure. In the spiral arms, these gas clouds form filaments, ribbons hundreds of light years long, twisting through space like silk in the wind. They glow faintly, sometimes illuminated by newborn stars, sometimes shadowed by dust. Astronomers give them names that sound like dreams: the horsehead, the eagle, the lagoon. Each one a story, a shape, a memory written in vapour. To the human eye, most of these clouds are invisible, but their presence is everywhere, bending starlight, shaping nebulae, cooling the galaxy's warmth. They are the soft infrastructure of existence, the unseen medium that connects every star to every other. Even here, near our solar system, the sun moves through a thin wisp of one such cloud, a region of space known as the local interstellar cloud, a small part of the vast river of gas that flows between the spiral arms. You, reading or listening now, are surrounded by it. Particles of hydrogen gently passing through the solar system, brushing past your planet without notice, silent, persistent, eternal. There's comfort in that thought. Even the emptiest spaces are not empty. Even silence contains a voice. And even when we sleep, we drift through the galaxy's quiet breathing, its slow, invisible sigh that connects all light together. So as you breathe now, imagine that every inhale is part of that cosmic exchange. Gas, light, motion, rest. All of it flowing, quietly, endlessly. The Milky Way's whisper becoming your own. Every living thing knows rhythm. The tide rises and falls, the moon waxes and wanes, the earth circles the sun. And somewhere far above, the Milky Way follows its own long, slow pattern. It too has seasons, not of weather or light, but of birth, death, and renewal. These galactic seasons unfold over millions, even billions of years. They are too vast for any human to witness, yet the traces of them are written across the night sky. Each bright cluster, each glowing nebula, is a sign of where the galaxy has been in its long, patient dance. There are seasons of creation, when clouds of gas grow dense and stars are born in golden clouds. In those ages, the spiral arms glitter with newborn suns, a cosmic spring where light blossoms in every direction. Then come seasons of activity, when stars live their middle lives steady and shining, their light warming countless worlds that orbit in quiet balance. That is the Milky Way's summer, a time of abundance, when the galaxy hums with energy and the arms glow brightest. But eventually there are autumns too. Massive stars burn through their fuel, their brilliance collapsing inward. In their final moments they shed their layers like falling leaves, casting heavy elements into space. Iron, carbon, gold, gifts for the next generation of worlds. And then winter, the stillness after the storm. In the dark lanes between the spiral arms, dust gathers and cools, the galaxy quiets for a time. Only faint radio waves hum across the cold. It is not death, but rest. Because even in winter, the seeds of the next spring are forming, hydrogen clouds slowly thickening, gravity quietly preparing its next creation. If you could see this from far above, you'd watch light drift and fade in long cycles, bright waves moving through the spiral arms like seasons rolling across continents. No beginning, no end, just flow. In a way, the Milky Way's rhythm is the same as ours. Moments of brightness, followed by calm. Periods of growth, followed by reflection. We breathe, we rest, we begin again. And so does the galaxy. It's easy to think of space as static, unchanging, eternal, frozen. But nothing in the cosmos stands still. Every star you see is part of a grand pulse. Every silence hides motion, and you, listening now, are inside one of those seasons. You are living in the galaxy's long summer, a time when light is plentiful, when new stars still rise, when life itself glows upon one small blue world. So as you close your eyes tonight, imagine that the Milky Way is breathing with you, inhaling creation, exhaling time, its seasons turning slowly, endlessly, peacefully. Time in the Milky Way does not rush. It flows, vast, unhurried, patient, like a great river that remembers every bend. And in that river stars are the ripples, their light spreading outward, touching worlds that will one day remember them. Every atom in your body has drifted through that river. Every element, carbon, iron, calcium, once belonged to a star that burned, that lived and died, and gave itself back to space. In that endless cycle, nothing is wasted. Everything is borrowed, shared, transformed. When a star reaches the end of its life, its outer layers peel away, spreading into the void like petals from a fading flower. Those petals form clouds of gas and dust, which in time will give birth to new stars. The ashes of one sun become the cradle of another. It is a rhythm so immense, so measured, that the galaxy seems to breathe through eons. Creation, dissolution, rebirth, a cycle older than memory, as gentle as a tide, as certain as a heartbeat. If you could watch the Milky Way for 1 billion years, you'd see its arms shimmer and shift, old stars dim, new ones ignite, nebulae bloom, dissolve, and bloom again. The galaxy is never still. It only moves too slowly for our eyes to see, and yet we measure time in small human ways, minutes, days, lifetimes. Against cosmic scales, our lives are a single note, but that note matters. It adds its tone to the vast harmony of time. You are living right now in one ripple of that river, a brief glimmer of awareness moving across a current that began billions of years ago. Your memories, your heartbeat, your breath, all part of the same motion that stirs the stars. Sometimes, in quiet moments, you might feel that flow, the way a thought drifts, the way sleep arrives without command. It is not separate from the universe's rhythm. It is that rhythm echoed in the human body. So, when you think of time, don't imagine it as something lost. Imagine it as water, carrying you softly forward toward transformation, toward return. Every second you live is ancient light unfolding. Every moment you breathe is part of the galaxy's slow turning, and one day, when you exhale your last, the river of time will take those atoms and carry them onward to join another cycle, another dawn, another star. Nothing ends. Everything changes. The Milky Way has known this truth for billions of years, and tonight, as you drift toward rest, so do you. For everything we can see in the Milky Way, every star, every planet, every shimmer of a light, there is something else we cannot. A presence without glow, a weight without face. It does not shine, it does not reflect, yet it holds the galaxy together. This unseen substance is called dark matter, and it is the silent architecture of our cosmic home. When astronomers first studied how stars move through the Milky Way, they found something strange. The outer stars, far from the bright crowded centres, were moving too fast. By the laws of gravity, they should have drifted away, spun off into the emptiness between galaxies, but they didn't. Something invisible was holding them, something vast and patient, forming an unseen web of gravity that reached far beyond the edges of light. Dark matter doesn't collide or glow. It passes through you, through me, through planets and stars, like a shadow moving through air, and yet it outweighs everything we can see. 5 times more abundant than normal matter. It's everywhere, in every direction. And though it's silent, its pull shapes everything. The Milky Way's graceful spiral exists because of it. Without dark matter's invisible halo, our galaxy would unravel like mist, its stars drifting apart, its form dissolving back into the deep. Instead, the unseen holds the seen. Gravity, born of absence, gives shape to beauty. It's a humbling thought, that most of the universe is hidden, that we live surrounded by something we cannot touch or name. We measure its presence not by what it gives, but by how it holds what is already there. There is a quiet lesson in that. Sometimes what sustains us is not what we see, but what we feel without proof. The steady presence that needs no attention, the gravity of love, memory, and meaning. Dark matter may be the cosmos's way of reminding us that not all light comes from shining. Some comes from holding. Imagine the galaxy as a lantern floating in the dark. Its spiral arms are the flame, bright and visible, but the air around it, invisible yet necessary, keeps the flame steady, alive. That is dark matter's gift. It surrounds every star, every world, every thought, keeping the cosmic dance in perfect balance. Scientists still don't know what dark matter truly is. Particle, field, or something beyond imagination. But perhaps it is enough for now to know what it does, to feel its calm, unseen presence around us, the same way we feel gravity even when we can't see it pulling. You're held by it, always. Your planet, your sun, your galaxy, drifting safely in its invisible arms. It has been there since the beginning, and it will be there long after the last stars fade. So when you close your eyes tonight, and the world grows quiet, remember this: even in darkness, there is something that holds you. Even in silence, there is structure and grace and flow. Far beyond the edge of our spiral arms, where the Milky Way's light thins into the deep, another galaxy waits, vast, blue, and luminous. This is Andromeda, our nearest great neighbour in the cosmic sea. Across 2.5 million light-years of space, its light reaches us as a faint smudge in the night sky, barely visible to the human eye. Yet that pale blur is an entire island of stars, 1 trillion suns drifting together, each one burning with its own story. And between us and them stretches a bridge, not of stone or steel, but of gravity. Our galaxies are not strangers, they are dancers, drawn together by the invisible pull that binds all things. Even now they are moving toward each other slowly, gently, at about 110 kilometers per second. It sounds fast, but in the vastness of space it is a peaceful pace, a slow walk through eternity. In the darkness between them lies a thread of matter, a faint bridge of gas and dark matter, a whisper of connection across emptiness. It's as though the two galaxies are already reaching out, hands extended across the void, feeling for one another through the fabric of space. When you look up at Andromeda, you're seeing the future reflected in the past. The light you see tonight left that galaxy long before humans walked the Earth, and yet, billions of years from now, that same galaxy will merge with ours, folding light into light, creating a new, larger spiral of stars, a single cosmic bloom. Astronomers call this coming together the Milky Way galaxy, a union of two giants, a slow, radiant collision where nothing truly collides, because in galaxies, distance is vast. Stars pass through one another like ghosts. Gravity will weave them together, their shapes stretching and blending until a new galaxy emerges, a brighter, calmer whole. Sometimes we fear collisions, as if all meeting means breaking. But in the language of the cosmos, to collide is to merge, to change, to evolve. The Milky Way and Andromeda remind us that even the greatest distances will one day close, and that every separation is only temporary. If you could watch that future, you would see arcs of stars drawn out like ribbons, their light curving gracefully through space. You'd see the centers approach, circling one another in a long, beautiful waltz before finally settling into balance. A new galaxy, pulsing quietly in the dark. We are part of that story already. Every star, every atom, every thought we have is moving toward that slow embrace. It won't happen for 4 billion years, but it is written in the motion of our sky, a promise in gravity's handwriting. So as you breathe, imagine that connection, a bridge of light spanning the void, a patient union forming across the ages, the Milky Way reaching out to Andromeda, just as you reach toward rest, toward calm, toward the quiet joining of sleep and dream. 4 billion years from now, the sky will begin to change, slowly, softly. No sudden violence, no noise, just a faint deepening of light where darkness once lived. The stars of Andromeda will grow brighter, stretching across the night like a second Milky Way. This is the beginning of the great meeting, when our galaxy and hers will finally merge, a collision not of destruction, but of transformation. When most people hear the word collision, they imagine chaos, crashes, impacts, endings. But in the scale of galaxies, space is too vast for that. Stars are so far apart that even when galaxies merge, hardly any stars will truly touch. They will weave through each other like threads of light, their paths bent only by gravity's quiet persuasion. It will begin with long arcs of starlight, drawn out like luminous bridges between the two galaxies. Their spirals will stretch, twist, and fold together, as if the universe were braiding its own hair. Clusters of stars will swirl and regroup. New waves of star formation will ignite in glowing pink clouds, lighting the newborn galaxy like embers rekindling a fire. And our sun, if it still burns by then, will continue its orbit carried by gravity into a new home. Perhaps it will settle in a calmer arm, perhaps farther from the centre. But life on Earth, if it still exists, will look up at a sky unlike any that has ever been seen. Imagine it. 2 galactic disks overlapping, their cores glowing side by side, billions of stars painting the heavens in shimmering ribbons of blue and gold. The night will not be dark. It will be filled with light. Eventually, over millions of years, the 2 galaxies will find balance. Their spirals will dissolve into one great ellipse, a single glowing body of stars, a new galaxy called Milky Way, born from the gentle union of both. No sound, no rush, just motion, slow, inevitable, graceful. Gravity's masterpiece written in silence. This future is not a warning, but a comfort. It tells us that change, even on a cosmic scale, need not mean loss. It can mean continuation, rebirth, becoming. Our galaxy, our home, is destined not for isolation, but for union. And if the universe itself drifts toward connection, perhaps everything within it does too. Even hearts, even thoughts, find their way toward something greater. So when you look at the night sky, know that you are gazing at a love story written in light. One galaxy reaching for another across 4 billion years of time. Their embrace has already begun. We are simply waiting for the light to catch up. Breathe in, feel that gravity within you. The quiet pull toward warmth, toward wholeness, toward peace. Because in your own way, you too are part of that slow, beautiful collision. The Milky Way is not alone in the dark. Surrounding it, like quiet companions drifting in orbit, are dozens of dwarf galaxies. Small, dim gatherings of stars that move through our halo like lanterns on the night sea. They are our galactic neighbours, our satellites, our silent witnesses. The largest among them are the Large and Small Magellanic Clouds, soft smudges visible from the southern hemisphere. Sailors once used them to navigate across oceans, never realising they were seeing entire galaxies, each one a cluster of billions of stars, each one circling the Milky Way like fireflies around a bonfire. There are others too, the Sagittarius dwarf, the Ursa Minor dwarf, the Faint Sculptor Galaxy, and dozens more, some so dim they were only discovered recently, hidden like whispers in the outer dark. Most of them are tiny, fragile collections of old stars held together by faint gravity. Some are being slowly torn apart, their stars stretched into streams by the Milky Way's pull. It's a gentle kind of absorption, not violence, but return. The larger galaxy reclaiming its scattered light. Over billions of years, the Milky Way has gathered many such companions, folding them into its halo, weaving their stars into its own. You could say our galaxy is made of memories, not just its own, but the stories of all the little galaxies it has embraced. Sometimes astronomers find long, faint trails across the sky, thin rivers of stars stretching for thousands of light years. These are the remains of galaxies that once orbited close, their light slowly unspooled and absorbed. The Sagittarius stream, for example, is the lingering trace of one such companion, its stars now part of our own. If you could float above the Milky Way and look down, you'd see these dwarfs circling like moons around a planet, each with its own orbit, its own slow destiny. Some drift peacefully, others are caught in the pull, destined to merge, to become one with the greater flow. There is something tender about that image. Small galaxies gathered around a larger one, drawn by gravity, yet allowed to dance in their own quiet rhythm. It's a reminder that even in the vastness of space, communion exists. Nothing truly drifts alone forever. The dwarfs are faint, but they tell the story of how the Milky Way grew, not in bursts of conquest, but through gentle collection, through time, patience, and gravity's steady hand. Each new stream of stars adds to the whole, like threads woven into an ever-widening tapestry. And so, our galaxy's edges shimmer with history, tiny suns that once belonged elsewhere, now glowing softly as part of something larger. In that sense, we all come from mergers, of matter, of memory, of motion. The universe has always been an act of gathering, so as you breathe now, imagine yourself as one of those quiet satellites, circling, belonging, drawn by a gravity older than thought. In your orbit there is peace, in your stillness there is connection. Far to the south, in skies untouched by city lights, two soft smudges hang in the dark, pale, glowing, drifting near the horizon. To the unaided eye, they look like stray pieces of the Milky Way, as if the galaxy itself had shed fragments of its own light. These are the large and small Magellanic Clouds, two irregular dwarf galaxies, companions to our own and some of the most beautiful neighbours in the cosmos. Long before telescopes, sailors on Earth charted their voyages by these clouds. They used them as beacons, constant and steady, guiding their ships across unmarked waters. In truth, those navigators were guided by galaxies, vast collections of stars, gas and dust, each one bound to the Milky Way by gravity's patient hand. The Large Magellanic Cloud, often called the LMC, is about 160,000 light-years away, close enough, by cosmic standards, to still be under the influence of our galaxy's pull. The smaller one, the SMC, drifts nearby, about 200,000 light-years distant. Together they dance in a slow duet, orbiting each other as they both orbit the Milky Way. Between them flows a long ribbon of hydrogen gas called the Magellanic Stream, a bridge of matter torn loose by tidal forces, tracing their journey like the wake of ships across a galactic ocean. Even in space, connection leaves a trail. Inside the Large Magellanic Cloud lies a jewel, the Tarantula Nebula, one of the most active star-forming regions known. There, hundreds of massive stars are being born, lighting the cloud with soft violet and gold. It's as if the galaxy carries a lantern within itself, a luminous nursery glowing through the cosmic night. Both clouds are, in a sense, stories of transition, galaxies caught between freedom and belonging. They are being slowly drawn inward, their gas stripped, their shapes distorted, their stars gently added to the Milky Way's expanding body. It's not destruction, it's merging, the slow knitting together of light. Through the ages, the Magellanic Clouds have been known by many names. Polynesian sailors called them the Navigators. Aboriginal peoples of Australia saw them as the footprints of spirits. To ancient observers, they were signs of direction, tokens of guidance and return. Even now they carry that same quiet symbolism, companions lighting the way through darkness. When you look at them, if you are ever lucky enough to see them with your own eyes, remember that you are seeing not just distant light, but a conversation between galaxies, the Milky Way and its clouds, trading matter, energy and motion in a slow, graceful exchange. Every so often, one of their stars is pulled away, joining the halo of our own galaxy. And perhaps, somewhere within the Milky Way, a small new star from our side is travelling the other direction, bridging the gap in return. That is the nature of gravity. It gathers, it shares, it connects. So breathe gently and picture those two soft clouds hanging in the southern dark, faint lanterns marking the edge of our home. They drift, they merge, they glow, and in their slow journey, they remind us that even in the cosmos, everything finds its way back to something larger. If the Milky Way had a scent, what would it be? Not flowers, not smoke. Something deeper, older. It would be the faint metallic tang of starlight, the dry sweetness of dust warmed by photons, the ghost of iron and ozone carried across light years. It would smell like time itself, ancient, quiet, and alive. Of course, space has no air to carry scent, yet scientists have learned to read the chemistry of the galaxy as if it were perfume. They find polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, complex molecules born in dying stars, floating through nebulae and interstellar clouds. If you could somehow breathe them, they would remind you of burnt sugar, of hot metal after rain, of the air around lightning when the world feels both clean and charged. Our corner of the galaxy is rich in these invisible fragrances. Comets that wander through the solar system carry traces of them, and astronauts returning from space say their suits smell faintly of seared iron, like the scent of a spark caught in wind. It's the signature of cosmic chemistry, the same ingredients that build planets, oceans, and life. Imagine drifting through the spiral arms, where new stars ignite and old ones crumble. Each region would have its own tone, the cold gas clouds crisp and neutral like fresh snow, the star-forming nebulae rich and smoky, the dense cores of dying stars sharp with carbon and helium. If sound were scent, the galaxy would be a symphony of undertones, never harsh, never still. And within that imagined aroma lies a truth. Our senses, limited as they are tuned to echoes of the universe's deeper processes. We cannot smell starlight, but we can feel it as warmth. We cannot hear dust forming, but we can see its glow in the infrared. Each perception is a translation, a way the body reminds us that we belong to this chemistry. Perhaps that's why certain earthly smells feel so grounding. Rain on dry soil, salt on skin, wood smoke at dusk. They are small reflections of galactic processes, tiny local versions of cosmic change. The scent of petrichor mirrors the release of ions in dust storms across Mars. The sweetness of burning wood recalls the carbon compounds forged in stellar fires. We breathe the galaxy every day, even if we don't notice it. So while the Milky Way doesn't truly have a smell, you do, and that scent of living, of warmth, of memory, is made from the same atoms that drift between stars. Every molecule in you carries a trace of the universe's long alchemy. Tonight, as you inhale, imagine that the air entering your lungs once passed through comets, clouds, and ancient suns. Let that thought fill you with quiet wonder. You're not separate from the galaxy's fragrance. You are part of it. You're the Milky Way, breathing itself. How many stars are there in the Milky Way? It's a simple question, and an impossible one. Astronomers estimate between 100 and 400 billion, but no one knows for sure. The stars are too many, too varied, too hidden behind clouds of dust. To count them all would take longer than the galaxy itself has existed. And yet, humans have always tried. From the first stargazers scratching patterns into cave walls, to modern telescopes mapping the sky in exquisite detail, we have been quietly, endlessly counting. Not just stars, but the feeling they bring. Each point of light is a distance made visible. Each flicker, a story stretched across time. When you look up at the Milky Way on a dark, moonless night, you might see a few thousand stars at most, only a handful from the billions that surround us. The rest are hidden, faint, waiting just beyond what our eyes can catch. The galaxy's true population lies beneath the surface in wavelengths we cannot see. Infrared light from newborn stars, radio waves from ancient giants, X-rays from collapsing remnants. To truly count them is to listen to their many languages, to translate brightness into being. If you could see them all at once, the sky would no longer be black. It would shimmer like the inside of a pearl, light layered upon light, a living ocean of suns. Every gap between stars would dissolve, and you would realize that there was never emptiness, only unseen glow. Some scientists try to estimate by counting the mass of the galaxy, others by measuring the orbits of its stars and gas. But the truth is more poetic than mathematical. The number is less important than the wonder. Each star is both one among billions and an entire universe unto itself. A system, a sky, a possibility. When you look up tonight, you might notice how quickly the mind begins to imagine stories among them. We draw lines, form constellations, name patterns that make sense to our hearts. We create order in what seems infinite, because even in infinity, we long for meaning. Maybe that's the real act of counting, not adding stars, but acknowledging each as a light worth noticing. The Milky Way doesn't need us to measure it. It needs us to witness it, to stand still and realize that in every direction, the universe is alive with brilliance. Think of that the next time you see a single star peeking through city haze. Behind it lies a vast choir, singing in wavelengths too subtle for human ears. You're surrounded by them, bathed in their glow, woven from their dust. And though you cannot count them all, you're counted among them. One small light, burning briefly, beautifully in the same cosmic ledger. When you look up at the Milky Way on a clear night, you're not seeing a band drawn across the sky. You're looking through it. That glowing arc is a cross-section, a glimpse from inside the spiral itself. We stand within the galaxy's disk, staring sideways through tens of thousands of light-years of stars and dust. Every point of light we see belongs to the same enormous structure that holds us, but because we're inside it, the view folds around us like a horizon that never ends. It's as though you were standing deep inside an ancient forest at night. Each tree you see is close or far, each leaf a reflection of 1,000 more hidden beyond it. You cannot see the forest's edge. You can only feel its vastness in the layering of shadows and faint glimmers between branches. That's what the Milky Way is, a cosmic forest of light seen from within its heart. In this direction, toward Sagittarius, our gaze pierces the crowded core, where the sky thickens with stars until they blur into a continuous glow. In the opposite direction, toward Orion and Perseus, we look outward through the thinner outskirts of the disk, toward the quiet edge where stars begin to fade into dark space. Every night, without moving, our planet's spin turns this grand panorama around us, and the forest of stars slowly shifts its perspective, revealing new corridors, new glades of light. Dust lies between us and the stars like mist between trees. It dims and reddens their shine, turning the Milky Way's glow into something soft, almost alive. Those dark gaps, the coal sack, the great rift, are not voids, but veils. Behind them, millions of stars still burn unseen, their light filtering through like dawn through clouds. We're inside the architecture of our galaxy, travellers who will never step outside to see it whole. Yet, perhaps that limitation is a gift. From within, the galaxy feels intimate. Its stars do not seem remote. They feel like companions scattered across our ceiling of night. We live among them, breathing their light, drifting within their collective glow. Sometimes the Milky Way arches from horizon to horizon, a soft river of white spilling across the dark. Other nights it fades behind haze or moonlight, but it is always there, a silent proof of our location within something greater. When ancient peoples saw it, they imagined paths for souls, bridges for gods, highways for spirits. They understood, even without science, that we're inside a living current of stars. So tonight, when you look up, remember, you are not an observer standing apart. You are part of the cross-section itself, one cell in the grand spiral, one glimmer in the infinite forest. The Milky Way is not above you, it is all around you. You are within its river, and it flows quietly through you, as you breathe, as you drift towards sleep. At the heart of our galaxy lies a place unlike any other, crowded, luminous, and yet, paradoxically, still. This is the galactic centre, a dense region more than 25,000 light-years away, where stars orbit in tangled loops, where gas swirls in silent turbulence, and where light itself bends under the gravity of Sagittarius A, the supermassive black hole we met before. You might imagine it as chaos, a storm of energy and matter. And yet, from our distance, the centre of the Milky Way appears tranquil, its violence softened by time and space. The light that reaches us has travelled for millennia, filtered through veils of dust and gas, arriving as a gentle shimmer in the constellation Sagittarius, the faintest heartbeat of the galaxy. There, in that distant heart, millions of stars orbit the unseen centre in perfect obedience to gravity. They move swiftly, some completing their circuits in mere decades, but they do so in balance, each one part of a grand choreography, their collective motion forming a kind of celestial meditation. If you could hover there, safely beyond the pull of the black hole, you would see light twisting, arcs of glowing gas curving like ribbons in slow motion. Some stars would flash past in sudden brilliance. Others would drift like embers caught in an invisible wind. The silence would be absolute, for there is no air, no medium for sound, only radiation, only light, only motion repeating itself forever. Scientists study this hidden heart with radio telescopes, listening to the whispers of hydrogen and the flares of X-rays. Through those signals they map the shape of the invisible, tracing the contours of gravity itself. The galactic centre, they find, is both the most crowded place in our galaxy and its calmest, where chaos and order are indistinguishable. It is a paradox that feels strangely human. The place of greatest energy is also the place of deepest stillness. The closer matter falls toward the centre, the more silent it becomes, until, at last, it passes beyond the event horizon, where time, motion, and identity dissolve into a single timeless rest. Maybe that is what peace truly is, not the absence of motion, but the acceptance of it. Not stopping the flow, but merging with it completely. When you look towards Sagittarius, you're gazing into the oldest, most constant part of our home, a region where the Milky Way has been breathing for billions of years. It is the galaxy's pulse, steady and patient, beating beneath all the stars we see. And though you may never travel there, a small part of you already belongs to it. The iron in your blood, the carbon in your cells, the calcium in your bones, all were forged in the fires of long-gone stars that once orbited that same centre. You are the galaxy looking inward at itself, remembering its own quiet heart. So breathe slowly, and let that thought settle. The Milky Way's centre is not distant. It is mirrored within you, a point of gravity, a calm around which your thoughts revolve, a silence that draws everything home. Not all stars end in silence. Some, when their lives collapse, leave behind something that still sings, not with light but with rhythm. These are pulsars, the universe's timekeepers, the remnants of massive stars that exploded long ago, now compressed into spheres barely the size of a city, but heavier than the sun itself. When a star becomes a pulsar, its magnetic field twists tight, and its rotation speeds up, spinning dozens, hundreds, even thousands of times each second. As it spins, it sends out beams of energy from its poles like the light of a cosmic lighthouse sweeping through the dark. Each time the beam points toward Earth, we hear a pulse, a steady tick, 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 as if the galaxy itself were counting time. The sound is hypnotic. Astronomers convert those radio waves into audio, and what emerges is a heartbeat from the far edge of space, a soft rhythmic drumming that never falters. Some pulsars are so precise that their timing is more stable than the atomic clocks we build on Earth. They are the Milky Way's metronomes, measuring the flow of cosmic time one rotation at a time. Imagine listening to the galaxy's music, each pulsar adding its own tempo, some slow and heavy like ancient drums, others fast and bright like the flutter of wings. Together they create a kind of invisible symphony, a chorus of remnants whispering from every corner of the spiral arms. Pulsars are born in violence, but they live in harmony. From the ashes of a dying star comes perfect rhythm, from collapse precision, from loss a pattern of order that outlasts everything. Some of their signals travel for tens of thousands of years before touching a receiver on Earth. When we listen to them, we are hearing messages sent before humanity existed, beats from an age when the first forests were still forming, when the Earth's continents were not yet what they are now. And still they keep perfect time. There is something deeply calming about that. To know that, in a universe of chaos and change, there are places where rhythm never breaks, where something continues steadily, endlessly through the noise. If you could fall asleep to their song, you might feel it aligning with your own heartbeat. The steady rise and fall of breath, the pulse within your chest. They are not separate from the galaxy's timing. You're listening from inside the same symphony. Every beat you feel is echoed somewhere among the stars, every quiet moment a reflection of a rhythm older than life. And when you drift towards sleep, the pulse continues, carrying you with it, counting softly, steadily through the endless night. There are moments when the Milky Way flashes in sudden brilliance, moments when a star reaches the end of its long, patient burning and erupts into light that can outshine the rest of the galaxy. These are supernovas, the final breaths of massive stars, and their echoes ripple across space for tens of thousands of years. When a star dies this way, it is not an ending, but a kind of transformation so profound that even silence must pause to listen. In a single instant, a core collapses, temperatures rise beyond comprehension, and elements that have never existed before are forged. Gold, silver, copper, oxygen, the ingredients of blood and bone, of mountains and oceans, of memory and meaning, all born in that fierce flash of light. Imagine it, a sun 100 times larger than ours, its outer layers thrown outward into the night at millions of kilometers per hour, its inner heart crushed into a neutron star or black hole, its energy radiating through the spiral arms like a heartbeat of creation. The shockwave sweeps through surrounding gas clouds, compressing them, sparking the birth of new stars in the wake of death. It is the galaxy's renewal, a cosmic forest fire after which new growth blooms. Even now, the remnants of these explosions drift across the Milky Way. We see them as delicate filaments of colour, the Crab Nebula, the Vela Remnant, the soft tendrils of Cassiopeia A, each one a glowing ghost of what once was. They expand through space like petals unfurling in slow motion, their gases cooling, their atoms finding new homes. Some of those atoms have reached us. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the gold on your finger, all once glowed inside a dying star. Every supernova is both destruction and gift. Each one leaves behind light that travels on forever, passing through galaxies, through time, through us. Scientists can still hear the echoes of those deaths, not as sound but as radiation, as patterns of energy that hum through space. The Milky Way carries these notes within it, deep, resonant vibrations woven into the background of the universe. To listen to them is to hear the past speaking in light, and though each explosion lasts only days, its consequences endure for billions of years. The galaxy's stars, its planets, its living worlds, all are built from those scattered remains. We are quite literally the afterglow of supernovas. So the next time you see a shooting star, remember, it is not falling. It is a spark of that ancient rhythm, a tiny echo of all the stars that gave their light so the universe could continue to shine. In that way, death and birth are the same act. The Milky Way knows this. It has been singing that truth for eons, a song of endings that are beginnings, of silence that blooms into light. And as you breathe now, slowly, you can feel a trace of that music inside you. The echo is quiet, but it's there, a reminder that you too are part of the galaxy's luminous renewal. Long before telescopes, long before we understood the true scale of the cosmos, humans looked up at that pale river in the night and gave it meaning. Every culture, every era found its own reflection in the Milky Way, a mirror for wonder, faith, and longing. To the ancient Greeks, it was milk spilled from the breast of a goddess. The Galaxius Kyklos, the milky circle that gave our galaxy its name. In China, it was the Silver River, a heavenly stream that separated the weaver girl and the cowherd, two lovers exiled to opposite sides of the sky, allowed to meet only once a year, when magpies formed a bridge of wings across the stars. In Norse myth, it was the path of souls, the road of fallen warriors making their way to Valhalla. In the stories of the Mayans, it was the world tree. Its trunk and branches stretching across the heavens, its roots reaching into the underworld, a map of life itself. And to Aboriginal Australians, it was not the light that mattered, but the darkness, the shapes of the dust lanes forming the image of an emu, a sacred symbol of creation. Each story was different, yet all spoke of the same thing, a bridge between realms, a connection between heaven and earth, between what is seen and what is unseen. Even now, in our age of science and satellites, we cannot help but respond to the Milky Way in the same way. When you see it stretching across a dark horizon, it feels alive, a presence, a path, a whisper from the beginning of time. We no longer call it divine, yet it still inspires reverence, that quiet ache of recognition, the sense that something immense is watching, or perhaps remembering. The myths were never wrong, they simply spoke in a different language, because the Milky Way is a bridge. It connects every living thing, every element, every thought that has ever flickered in the dark. It is the luminous thread stitching existence together, the cosmic river from which we all flow. When the first humans stared at it, they saw stories because they felt the connection before they understood it. Now we can name its stars, measure its rotation, trace its arms in radio waves and infrared. But the feeling, that ancient awe, remains the same. Knowledge has not replaced wonder, it has deepened it. So when you look up tonight, you are sharing the same act as every ancestor who ever lived. Their eyes saw the same river, their hearts made the same wish, and though the myths have changed, the sky has not. It still curves above us like a promise that we belong, that we are seen, that we are part of the same story of light. The Milky Way is not just a galaxy. It is our oldest poem, written in stars instead of words, and still being sung by every breath we take beneath it. The night sky looks silver to our eyes, but if you could truly see it, if your vision reached beyond the limits of human sight, you would find that the Milky Way is not white at all. It is woven from colours, each star burning in its own shade of temperature and time. Blue stars blaze the hottest, young, massive, fierce in their brightness. They burn through their lives in a few short millions of years, Their light sharp as ice, their glow crisp and electric. They are the galaxy's newborns, restless, brilliant, and brief. Farther along the spiral arms the light softens to gold and white, the steady radiance of middle-aged stars like our sun, burning calmly through billions of years, neither in haste nor in exhaustion. They are the heartbeats of the galaxy, the quiet sustain that holds everything in balance. And then come the red stars, the elders, cool, swollen, gentle in their fading light. Some are red giants nearing the end of their lives, others are small, cool dwarfs that will outlive the galaxy itself. They glow like embers, their warmth more tender than fierce, the colour of memory rather than fire. Each colour is a note in the Milky Way symphony. Together they form a gradient, from blue to white to amber to red, a spectrum of time itself. To look at the galaxy is to look across its ages, youth, maturity, and old age existing side by side, each shining in its own quiet way. If you could drift through the arms of the Milky Way, you'd see clusters where newborn stars illuminate their birth clouds in sapphire light, while nearby, ancient red giants shimmer like distant lanterns. It would feel like travelling through both dawn and dusk at once. Even the dust changes the light, scattering blue rays, letting red pass through, so that starlight arrives at our eyes warmer than when it began its journey. That's why the Milky Way glows soft and golden instead of harsh and blue. It's as if the galaxy wraps its own brilliance in a gentle filter, turning fire into warmth. We live under that warmth every day. Our sun is one note among billions, a yellow star in the middle of its song, neither the loudest nor the faintest, but steady, calm, reliable. Its colour is the hue of life, balance between the extremes of heat and rest. When you close your eyes tonight, imagine all those colours blending, blue for energy, white for balance, red for wisdom. The Milky Way's light passes through you in invisible rainbows, each wavelength brushing against the molecules of your skin. You are painted by that same spectrum, woven from the same radiance. And though your eyes may see only white light above, your heart can feel the truth of it, that every colour of existence glows together, harmonising in silence, a symphony of heat, age and grace that has been playing since before time had a name. If you could hover far above the Milky Way and watch it from afar, you would see the galaxy turning, not hurriedly but gracefully, its luminous arms stretching outward like ribbons in a slow dance. It looks solid, like a frozen swirl of light. But that shape is an illusion. The spiral arms are not permanent structures. They are waves, moving patterns in a sea of stars. The stars themselves do not stay fixed within those arms. They drift through them, entering, shining for a while, and then moving on. Like travellers walking through beams of sunlight filtering through trees, they join the brightness, glow within it, and then continue into shadow again. The arms exist because of density waves, regions where gravity pulls matter just a little closer together, creating zones of compression that travel slowly through the disk. Gas clouds moving into those waves are squeezed, their contents heating and collapsing into new stars. That's why the spiral arms gleam so brightly. They are the nurseries of light, the frontiers of creation. But the arms themselves are not things, they are motions. They are not objects, they are rhythms. The Milky Way is not spinning like a rigid wheel. It is flowing like water, its pattern born from movement itself. Imagine a crowd at a stadium doing a wave. Each person stands, lifts their arms, then sits again, and yet the wave travels around the arena, a shape made from motion, not from fixed participants. That is what the spiral arms are. The galaxy's version of that collective gesture, a long, graceful ripple moving through billions of suns. Our solar system is one of those participants. Right now, we are somewhere between the arms, drifting through a quieter space known as the Orion Spur. We have passed through spiral arms before, and we will again, each crossing separated by hundreds of millions of years. Each passage changes the conditions of our sky, the brightness of nearby stars, the abundance of cosmic rays, perhaps even the rhythm of life on Earth. Yet the galaxy remains serene. No single star feels the pattern, but all contribute to it. Together they form a living spiral, held not by solidity, but by cooperation, gravity's slow dance performed on a scale beyond imagination. When you look up at the Milky Way, you're seeing one instant of that dance, a frozen frame in a film that takes billions of years to play. And though it moves too slowly for us to notice, we are part of its choreography. Our sun, our planet, our lives, all carried in that quiet procession of light. Everything in the galaxy moves, but the pattern endures. It is motion creating order, chaos finding grace, change revealing beauty. So breathe, and imagine yourself moving with that same rhythm. You're not separate from the spiral. You're flowing within it. A note in the wave, a heartbeat in the pattern, a moment in the Milky Way's long unbroken dance. If you could see the Milky Way from far away, truly see it from the outside, you might expect a perfect spiral, smooth and even, like a record turning in the dark. But the truth is gentler and more human. Our galaxy is warped, its disk bending and twisting slightly toward its edges, as if time itself had pressed upon it unevenly, as if it were a sheet of light caught in a slow wind. The warp is subtle. You would not notice it from within. From our vantage point, the galaxy feels flat and balanced. But if you could pull back across 100,000 light years, you'd see the outer arms curve upward on one side and downward on the other, a soft smile of starlight bending toward eternity. Astronomers think this distortion comes from gravity's quiet tug of war. Nearby galaxies, especially the Magellanic Clouds, pull at the Milky Way's edges, stirring its disk like fingers brushing the surface of a pond. The invisible halo of dark matter also contributes, its mass not evenly spread, causing the galactic plane to ripple like silk caught in a drifting current. This warp is not still. It moves. The entire shape of the Milky Way flexes slowly, the way a breathing body rises and falls. It undulates over hundreds of millions of years, a motion so vast we can only see its imprint in the positions of distant stars. The galaxy, it seems, never stops adjusting itself, a living structure in dialogue with its surroundings. There's something strangely intimate in that image. A galaxy, so enormous, so ancient, still bends and sways to unseen forces, still responds to the gravity of its companions, still feels the gentle persuasion of the universe around it. It is not rigid. It flows. In that way, the Milky Way is like us. We too are shaped by unseen pulls, memories, emotions, connections that bend our paths ever so slightly. We appear steady, but deep inside, we are constantly shifting, constantly adapting to the quiet gravity of life. Our edges too are curved by what we love, what we lose, what we carry. When you think of the galaxy's warp, imagine a luminous ribbon rippling across darkness, its light folding like waves on an unseen sea. Each rise and dip is part of the greater harmony, a choreography of time and attraction. Nothing in the cosmos is perfectly still, and that is its perfection. Perhaps even the universe sighs sometimes, stretching its arms through space, releasing tension in slow, invisible motions. And maybe the Milky Way's warp is that sigh, a gentle breath after billions of years of holding itself together. So as you lie still now, let yourself feel that same softness, that quiet yielding to what is. Let your thoughts bend and flow like starlight across a curved horizon. The galaxy moves, and you move with it. Its warp is your breath, its curve your calm. Every structure, no matter how vast, has a border, a place where form fades into nothing. The Milky Way too has an edge, though it is not a sharp line, it is a gradient, a soft dissolving of starlight into silence. Out there, near 100,000 light-years from the centre, the familiar spiral thins until the stars grow scarce, their light scattered like the last embers of a dying fire. We call it the galactic edge, but in truth it is more of a whisper than a wall. There is no boundary to cross, only a slow dimming, a place where the stars become fewer, the gas grows thin, and darkness begins to dominate again. In that outer frontier, stars orbit the galaxy's heart in long, lonely paths. Many are ancient, red dwarfs that have been shining since the Milky Way's youth, survivors from the galaxy's earliest days. Others are refugees, cast outward by gravitational encounters long ago, still bound, but barely, tracing vast ellipses through the emptiness. Between them drifts the ghostly halo of dark matter, its gravity faint but persistent, holding even these distant wanderers close. The edge is quiet. No bright nebulae, no crowded clusters, just starlight stretched thin, a sigh of luminosity fading into the dark. If you could float there, half inside the galaxy and half beyond, the view would be hauntingly beautiful. Behind you, the Milky Way's spiral arms would glow, a vast wheel of silver fire. Ahead, the night would open into black infinity, the realm between galaxies, where light itself travels for millions of years before finding another home. It is said that the edge of the Milky Way blends into that of other galaxies, their halos touching, their dark matter mingling like mist at dawn. Even boundaries in the cosmos are not truly separate. They are conversations between neighbours, long, slow exchanges of gravity and time. In some ways, the faint edge is the galaxy's horizon, the point where we begin to sense our smallness, our proximity to the endless beyond. Yet even there, the Milky Way still holds on, still exerts its pull, still hums with quiet belonging. Every edge is an invitation to wonder, a reminder that endings in the universe are never abrupt. They are gradients, transitions, fade-outs rather than stops. The same is true of our lives. Moments end softly, like light tapering off at the edge of a galaxy. What feels like conclusion is often just a blending into something larger, a continuation in another form. So, when you think of the Milky Way's boundary, don't imagine a fence or a line. Imagine a breath and slow exhale of stars into the deep. At the faint edge of everything, the galaxy whispers to the dark, "I am still here," and the dark whispers back, "So am I." You are part of that exchange, the conversation between light and silence, between presence and beyond. You are the faint edge too, luminous, fading, continuing. Every living thing breathes, even galaxies. We often imagine the Milky Way as still, a great wheel of stars turning in perfect calm. But there is wind in that silence, a vast, invisible outflow that rises from its heart and flows into the dark. This galactic wind is not air, not the breeze we feel on skin, but a slow tide of gas and charged particles driven outward by the energy of countless stars. When massive suns burn their brightest, or when supernovas erupt in luminous death, they release waves of radiation and shock. That energy gathers in the galactic centre, building pressure until it escapes, a long, gentle exhalation that carries the galaxy's breath into space. If we could see it, it would look like two vast plumes rising above and below the galactic plane, stretching for tens of thousands of light years, faintly glowing, moving at hundreds of kilometers per second, yet patient as mountains in their slowness. Astronomers call them the Fermi bubbles, great lobes of energy, soft and ancient, expanding through the Milky Way's halo like ripples through still water. Inside those bubbles drift particles of dust, atoms of carbon and oxygen, the remnants of stars and worlds long gone. The wind carries them outward, spreading the elements of life into intergalactic space. What leaves our galaxy today may one day seed another, A new star, a new planet, a new beginning. The Milky Way exhales, and creation continues elsewhere. Even in its stillness, the galaxy participates in the great exchange, a cycle of flow that has no edge, only motion. Light becomes heat, heat becomes motion, motion becomes new form. Nothing ends, it only moves. Our Earth feels a version of this too, the solar wind, a faint stream of charged particles from our sun, sweeps through space, shaping magnetic fields, painting the polar skies with auroras. It is a smaller echo of the galactic breath, the same principle repeating on every scale. From atoms to stars to galaxies, everything inhales and exhales energy. It is how the universe stays alive. If you could drift high above the Milky Way, you might see it glowing faintly at its edges, its twin winds shimmering like the smoke of a slow-burning lantern. You would realize that even here, at cosmic scale, breath is sacred. The movement between creation and release, between giving and returning. And perhaps that is the lesson hidden in the stars. To breathe fully, to let go gently, to understand that what leaves you is never truly gone. It joins the current, the same invisible wind that carries dust from one world to another, from one life to another. So breathe with the galaxy now. Inhale, the gathering of light. Exhale, the surrender to stillness. Somewhere, in the farthest dark, that same rhythm continues. The Milky Way's endless wind flowing outward. Soft, patient, eternal. If you could pull back far enough to see the Milky Way from above, you'd notice faint, delicate ribbons of stars stretching beyond its edges, threads of light looping through space like strands of silk in slow motion. These are the stellar streams, ghostly trails of stars that once belonged to other galaxies, now woven into the Milky Way's great tapestry. Each stream tells a story of arrival, of a smaller galaxy drawn close by gravity, its stars gently peeled away over billions of years, spun out into long arcing filaments that wrap around our own. The galaxy grows this way, not by force but by gathering, by absorbing the lost and the wandering, folding them into its spiral arms until they are home again. The most famous of these trails is the Sagittarius stream, a ribbon of stars that circles the Milky Way in a wide arc, remnants of a small galaxy slowly merging with ours. It's so large that parts of it can be seen from Earth with the naked eye, if you know where to look. A faint glitter across the sky, a whisper of ancient motion. Astronomers have mapped dozens of these streams, each one the memory of a galactic encounter. Some are thin and smooth, others wide and clumpy, each tracing a different chapter in the Milky Way's long evolution. Together, they form a kind of halo history, the record of every embrace, every union, every gentle collision. To see them is to realize that the galaxy is not a single being, but a community of past selves. The stars we call ours were not all born here. Many were immigrants, drawn in from smaller galaxies that once drifted freely through the void. Their orbits, still distinct, linger like accents in the Milky Way's great song. And yet, over time, those distinctions blur. The streams dissolve, their stars settling into the spiral's rhythm. The galaxy forgets where one story ends and another begins, remembering only the harmony of light. Perhaps that is how belonging works everywhere, not as sudden arrival, but as gradual blending. We come from many origins, but over time we find a shared orbit, a collective rhythm that feels like home. When you look up at the Milky Way tonight, you're seeing that history in motion. Every shimmer carries echoes of old galaxies folded into ours. You're gazing at the record of billions of quiet reunions. And within you, the same process continues. Your body too is made from gathered light, from atoms that travelled through many suns before finding each other here. You're a stellar stream made flesh, a continuation of the galaxy's long memory. So as you breathe, Imagine those faint ribbons circling the sky, old stars drifting in silent grace, finding their place in a larger whole. You're part of that pattern, a luminous thread in the galaxy's ever-expanding fabric of time. Every night light reaches us that no longer has a home. Photons, the smallest messengers in existence, travel across millions, sometimes billions of years, crossing silence and emptiness, long after the stars that created them have faded into dust. When you look up at the Milky Way, you're not seeing what is, but what was. Each glimmer is an echo of the past, a postcard from a vanished moment, a memory still travelling. The light from the stars nearest to us left only a few years ago, but others, deeper in the spiral arms, began their journeys when Earth was young, when life was nothing more than a dream forming in the sea. The galaxy's distant edges shine with light that began its path before humanity existed. Light that has seen entire civilizations rise and fall on worlds we will never know. And still, it travels, unaffected by time, unchanged by distance. Each beam continues outward at the speed of itself, neither hurrying nor slowing, only being. Even when the star that birthed it dies, its light continues on, bearing witness, refusing to vanish. It is a comforting thought that something can outlive its source, that energy and beauty can persist long after the flame that made them has gone out. Every light you see in the Milky Way is proof of that persistence. In some ways, you are made of the same principle. The warmth of your kindness, the ripples of your words, the traces of your touch, they too travel outward into the world. Even when you forget them, they continue, echoing softly in the lives they've touched, in the thoughts they've shaped. Astronomers once said that to look at distant light is to look into history. But perhaps it is also to look into the future, because what travels on never truly disappears. It only changes form. Light becomes heat, heat becomes motion, motion becomes memory, and memory becomes the invisible glow that lingers long after we're gone. Some of the starlight reaching Earth tonight will keep going, passing us by, heading farther into the dark, perhaps to be seen one day by eyes not yet born on a world we will never visit. And when it reaches them, those distant observers will not see our galaxy as it is. They will see us as we once were. Even our light will become an ancient story. So the next time you gaze into the night, remember that the stars are not shining at you, but through you. You are part of their journey, a small moment in their long continuum of existence. Their light touches your eyes, and in that instant, the past and present become one. Everything that ever shone still shines somewhere. Nothing beautiful ever truly ends. It only travels farther, carrying its glow into the next horizon. And perhaps that is what peace really means. To move through darkness, quietly, endlessly, still shining. Time feels like motion, like a river flowing one way. Moments appear, move past and fade. But in the wide stillness of the Milky Way, that flow begins to feel different, slower, softer, almost circular. The stars remind us that time may not be what it seems. A star's life is measured in millions or billions of years. Its birth, its shining, its death. All of it happens too slowly for us to witness. To the galaxy, the lifespan of a human is less than the blink of an eyelid. From its perspective, we're not creatures that live and die. We are flickers, tiny flashes of consciousness passing across its face. And yet the galaxy itself changes too. Its arms shift, its stars drift, its shape warps over eons. Even the seemingly eternal is moving, evolving, breathing in time with the universe around it. If you could watch the Milky Way over billions of years, you'd see the arms flowing like ribbons of light, the stars swirling in slow spirals, the colours changing as new generations ignite and fade. Nothing truly stands still. Not stars, not galaxies, not time itself. Einstein once described time as a dimension, woven together with space into a single fabric. Space-time, he called it. In that fabric, all moments exist at once, like pages of a book already written. We read those pages one by one, believing the story is unfolding, but the galaxy, immense, timeless, may already hold every chapter. That's why light feels so mysterious. It moves through time without aging. A photon that left a star 1,000,000 years ago is the same now as when it began. To light, all moments are one, and if the matter that forms your body was once light, perhaps some part of you remembers that eternity. Sometimes, when you stand beneath the Milky Way, it seems to move slowly across the night. But that motion is your own planet turning, your own body spinning through space. Everything moves together, and motion becomes the illusion of time. What we call now is simply the point where our consciousness touches the river's surface. If you could let go of that sense of rushing forward, you might feel something deeper, the stillness beneath the flow, the way each moment, no matter how brief, contains everything before and after it, the way your breath, right now, is both ancient and new, part of an unbroken pattern that began long before you and will continue long after. Time, then, is not a line, but a spiral, like the Milky Way itself, turning endlessly, folding beginnings into endings and endings into beginnings. The stars are not racing toward their deaths, they are circling toward renewal. And we, too, are part of that same rotation, carried gently along the curve of eternity. So don't rush the night. Let time slow until it feels like light, weightless, infinite, everywhere at once. The galaxy is not in a hurry, and neither are you. In its patient turning, it teaches us this truth, that every moment is already complete, and every heartbeat is part of forever. If you could give the Milky Way a body, it would be vast and luminous, arms flowing outward like rivers of silver, a heart glowing deep with quiet fire, a breath that rises and falls over millions of years. The galaxy moves with the grace of something alive, not a machine, not a mechanism, but a being, immense, patient, sentient, in motion. We often speak of it as an object, as a structure made of matter and gravity, but what if it is more than that? What if the Milky Way is a form of life too slow, too large, too ancient for our kind of awareness to recognize? A consciousness stretched across 100,000 light years, thinking in waves of star formation, feeling in tides of light. Its spiral arms could be veins, carrying energy through its vast body. Its black hole, a heart, beating not with blood, but with gravity. Each supernova, a heartbeat. Each nebula, a breath. Each cluster of stars, a cell in its luminous tissue. Everything moving in rhythm, each part aware of the whole, just as every cell in your body hums with the pattern of your life. From this perspective, we are not separate from the Milky Way. We are its fleeting thoughts, brief sparks of awareness rising within its vast mind. When you look at the stars, the galaxy is looking at itself through you. It's not a new idea, really. For centuries, mystics and scientists alike have sensed that the universe is alive. Not in the way animals are, but in the way a song is alive, in the way a river or a flame carries its own continuity. It changes and moves, and in that movement, it is. The Milky Way renews itself constantly. Old stars die and release their dust. New ones ignite from that dust, continuing the pattern. It is the same cycle that keeps forests growing, oceans breathing, hearts beating. Everywhere you look, the rhythm repeats. You might think of the galaxy as sleeping, not inert but dreaming in long, slow pulses of light. Its dreams take the form of worlds, and on one of those worlds a small species wakes up long enough to wonder where it came from. We are that moment of self-awareness, the galaxy thinking about itself through us. When you close your eyes, Your thoughts drift like stars through your mind. Some flare brightly, some fade. That is the same flow that moves through the Milky Way, only stretched across time and space so vast that we can barely glimpse it. Perhaps that's why gazing at the night sky feels like coming home. The sight of the stars calms us because somewhere deep in our being, we recognize the pattern. We're made of its dust. We breathe in its rhythm, we share its pulse. The Milky Way is not something you live in, it is something you are. A single awareness made of billions of lights, a body of time, a field of thought. And when you sleep, perhaps it dreams through you, a quiet continuation of its long, glowing breath. For all its grandeur, the Milky Way's most profound reflection is found not in telescopes, but in us. We are its smallest echoes, its briefest lights, and yet within our bodies, the entire galaxy lives. Every element that forms you, the calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the carbon that shapes your skin, was once part of a star. Long ago, those atoms were scattered in supernova winds, drifting through the galaxy's arms for eons until gravity gathered them into new clouds, new suns, new worlds, and finally into you. You're not under the Milky Way. You're of it. You're starlight that learned to think, cosmic dust that became aware of itself, a tiny filament of the galaxy's consciousness, alive for a moment inside its grand, patient dream. When you breathe, you're continuing the same rhythm that moves through the spiral arms. Inhale, creation. Exhale, release. Each breath repeats the motion of galaxies, the eternal exchange between emptiness and form. The same electromagnetic forces that bind atoms are what make stars burn. The same water that fills your cells was formed in stellar furnaces billions of years ago. Even your heartbeat follows a pattern that mirrors the pulses of variable stars. The universe repeats itself at every scale. The macro and the micro, the infinite and the intimate, the galaxy and you. When you lie beneath the night sky, the boundary between self and cosmos fades. The awe you feel is not simply wonder, it is recognition. The quiet voice that whispers, "I am small," is also the voice that knows, "I am part of everything." And though your life seems brief, its brevity gives it radiance. A star burns for billions of years, but it cannot reflect on its own light. You can. You can look upward, see the Milky Way spill across the night, and feel the universe look back through your eyes. That is the miracle of awareness. The galaxy for a moment, knowing itself as human. When you reach out and hold someone's hand, that warmth is ancient starlight moving through touch. When you speak softly to a loved one, your breath carries elements born in distant suns. When you close your eyes, your thoughts spark with electricity that was once drifting plasma in the Milky Way's core. Connection, then, is not just emotional, it is physical, elemental, cosmic. You're not separate from the stars you watch. You are their continuation, their song carried into a new octave. The galaxy does not simply surround you, it includes you. You are its voice, its witness, its fleeting but luminous thought. So as you rest now, remember that you are made of everything that shines, and everything that shines is, in some quiet way, made of you. If you could drift between the stars, far from any world, any sun, you might expect emptiness, a cold absence without texture or sound. But the truth is gentler. The space between stars is not hollow. It is a silence filled with presence, a stillness that hums with everything that ever was. Out there, in the wide interstellar dark, the temperature hovers just above absolute zero. Atoms are far apart, their collisions so rare that they echo across centuries. Yet even here, there is matter. Traces of hydrogen, helium, dust, and memory drifting like faint smoke from ancient fires. This is the interstellar medium, the thin breath of the galaxy itself. The quiet is not lifeless. Within that hush, radio waves slide endlessly from distant pulsars, infrared light glows from cooling gas, and cosmic rays pass silently through everything. Whispers of motion in an ocean so still that each vibration feels like eternity. If you could somehow listen to it, not with ears, but with patience, you would hear a low symphony of frequencies overlapping, the hum of hydrogen, the crackle of far-off lightning on alien worlds, the faint rustle of photons moving through dust. The galaxy never truly sleeps. Its silence is a form of music. And within that quiet, something beautiful happens. The space between stars becomes a womb for creation. Gas gathers, dust collects, gravity tugs softly until one day light is born again. From stillness comes motion, from silence, sound, from darkness, brilliance. The galaxy breathes in its own emptiness and exhales stars. You too have this silence within you, the pause between your breaths, the still moment between heartbeats, the calm that follows a long exhale. Those spaces are not nothing. They are the galaxy remembering itself through you. You're made of stars, yes, but you're also made of the quiet between them. Every thought arises from silence, every word from pause, every act of creation from stillness first. The Milky Way knows this. That's why its greatest music is played not only in explosions and light, but in the intervals between them, in the calm that lets brightness exist. If you look at the night sky long enough, you start to feel that rhythm. Stars shining, space resting, light pulsing, dark listening. It is a call and response older than time, and you are part of it. So tonight, let yourself drift into that quiet. Let the world grow still until all you can hear is your own slow breathing. You're floating now, not in emptiness, but in a silence that connects everything. The stars, the dark, and the small, glowing thought of you that flickers softly between them. It is easy to look at the Milky Way and feel small, to stand beneath that great arc of light and think, I am nothing compared to this. But the truth is softer, deeper. You are not beneath the galaxy. You are within it. You are one of its ways of being aware. Our world is a speck, yes, but a speck that can think, can dream, can gaze at the stars and call them beautiful. In a universe built from fire and gravity, you are something that can feel warmth, can understand connection, can whisper gratitude for simply being here. When you look up at the Milky Way, you're not looking outward. You're looking inward, into the vast body that birthed you. The stars you see are your relatives, the dust between them, your shared history. Every photon that touches your skin is a reminder that you belong to something far older than fear. Infinity is not cold, it is generous. It holds everything, the brilliant and the broken, the birth of suns and the fading of worlds, the laughter of life and the silence that follows. It makes no distinction between perfection and imperfection. It only continues, endlessly, lovingly, allowing everything to exist. If you could float above the galaxy and look down, you'd see it turning slowly, its arms glowing softly in the dark, its stars shimmering like grains of salt in a vast cosmic tide. You would see that there are no boundaries, just gradients of light, waves of creation folding into one another. The Milky Way has no true edge, and neither do you. You're not apart from infinity. You're one of its points of focus, a momentary shape it has chosen to take. Your infinity slowed down enough to see itself, to touch, to breathe, to love. This is home. Not a single place, but the knowing that wherever you are, you're made of the same materials as the stars, moved by the same forces, sustained by the same light. You have never been outside of it, and you never will be. When you close your eyes tonight, imagine that your breath expands outward, that every exhale joins the wind between the stars, that every inhale draws the calm of the galaxy into your chest. You are home in that exchange. You always have been. Even in moments when life feels narrow, remember the wide quiet that holds you. Even in pain, the stars are patient above and within you. Even in the smallest act of kindness, you echo the Milky Way's oldest rhythm, to give light, to share warmth, to continue. And when you sleep, the galaxy does not stop. It turns endlessly, carrying you through the infinite as gently as a tide carries a grain of sand. You are home, and home is everywhere. And now, as our journey through the Milky Way draws toward its quiet end, let us return, not to where we began, but to the stillness that was always beneath every word, every star, every breath. The galaxy turns, but it does not hurry. Its arms move through the dark like silk underwater, each star following its orbit in silence, each motion part of a greater calm. That same calm is within you. It always has been. You've drifted tonight through dust and light, through stories of birth and ending, through the invisible bridges between galaxies. You have walked the spiral arms, listened to pulsars beating like heart drums in the dark, and watched light that outlives its source continue forever forward. And yet, all of that wonder lives within you already, quietly reflected in the still rhythm of your own body. The Milky Way breathes. You breathe. The galaxy expands. You exhale. The galaxy gathers its stars back into itself. You rest. Everything that has ever existed is made from this one flow, energy transforming, matter remembering, light finding its next horizon. And as you lie here, you are part of that same unfolding, a moment of awareness in the universe's long, gentle dream. The stars will keep turning as you sleep. The spiral will go on, slow and serene, its arms unfurling for billions of years yet to come. Somewhere, new suns will be born, old ones will fade into the soft hum of background light, and through it all, the quiet truth will remain. Nothing is ever lost. Everything simply changes form. So let go now. Let your thoughts drift like starlight across the dark. Let your breath fall into rhythm with the Milky Way's motion. You have come full circle, from awareness to wonder, from motion to rest. The galaxy does not end. It only continues to flow, forever, softly, endlessly. And you are flowing with it, safe, weightless, whole. Everything flows. Sleep in that motion.